Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi. This is Tuesday, June 18th, 2019. And this is the show that brings you not only the questions and answers in the community, but the thought process, the journey of discovery. As one of my colleagues said yesterday, it's kind of like an open office hours, isn't it? I said, yeah, it kind of is. Kind of is. I go into the community and look for topics that I try to make interesting for you, something that's educational, informative, and you could take those discovery, exploration, engineering skills to your job and be a better ServiceNow administrator and developer. As I said, my name is Chuck Tomasi. I've been with ServiceNow for about 10 years. My expertise is in the platform, the custom applications, integrations, and that kind of stuff. So those are the types of questions that I'll be answering. If I don't answer some of the questions, if I skip over them, it's not because I don't like you. It's because I probably don't have anything to contribute to that. We have lots and lots of subject matter experts in the community that I rely upon. So let's get started. So down here, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you very much. If not, you can go to the URL there, subscribe, turn on notifications, get a notification that hopefully looks something like, let's see if we got it today. We do. We have our YouTube notification and our Twitch notification. We are streaming. Love it, love it, love it. So good morning to Shane, Carolyn, Carol. Everybody's checking in this morning. Thank you very much for watching. I will hopefully make this a worthwhile endeavor. We do this at 1 p.m. UTC, so if you're watching elsewhere, you can adjust your clock, set your alarm, block off that time, cancel all your conferences for that time, and we'll do our best to facilitate this, make it worth your while. Subscribe. If you find something useful in the next hour or so, don't forget to click the like button on the YouTube video so that other people know it's there, it's helpful, you really like this, it was entertaining, maybe I had a bad joke, maybe someone made a bad joke on me. That's perfectly fine. We're willing to roll with that. It's put on YouTube, it's put in a community live stream playlist on our ServiceNow community channel. Then I will also be posting this video back to the community with links to the articles that we discussed today. And if there's any script, I'll have a link to that as well. So that being said, we also live cast on Twitch over at twitch.tv/NOWCommunity. Those videos are only up for a couple of weeks, but it works great as a backup plan because sometimes YouTube has glitches. Not saying this is one of them, but and sometimes I have glitches. Sometimes I forget to unmute, but I did not today. Just double checked. So, good morning, Vinayak. Good to see you. Hello to the guy with the cool bow tie. Courtesy, this one is another I forgot to mention. This is a one from Eric Miller, local guy to Phoenix, goes to our Phoenix developer meetup and was very appreciative. So he sent me a few bow ties, this being one of them. So if it's a ServiceNow branded bow tie, it's likely it came from Eric. Thank you, Eric Miller, for the very generous gift. So got to throw that in. Very appreciative of what he's done. Let's get on with the rest of it. If you've got more than a hello, comment about the bow tie. If you got a question about ServiceNow, please post that in the community. In the proper community, there is a menu up here for community. You can drill in and see where should I be posting this. There are more here than are listed. There's even one at the bottom that is too far to see because my font is too large, but you'll see all forums, and then you open that up. And if you post it in the right place, you have a better chance of getting it looked at and responded to. So I want to make sure you do that so that other people can get involved. Because if you post it in classic cars and your question is about script includes, there's no classic cars, but I make that up as a far-fetched example that you're probably in the wrong place. You're not going to get an answer about script includes in the classic automobiles. Good morning, Chad. Chuck, can you remind me where the info is on adding multiple records at once to an update set, if you have the time? Adding multiple records at once. Oh, yes. I think I know what you're talking about. We can talk about that in just a minute. As soon as I get done with the pre-roll, community.servicenow.com. That's what's behind me. That's where we're going to be getting most of our research from, unless it's like yesterday where I just went and said, hey, here's a couple of questions on Flow Designer. Let's flesh these out. That was fun. I'm going to have to do that every once in a while and just have a special episode on a deep dive topic like that. don't let me forget, Shane. I don't want to walk away from that topic because I do tend to get distracted. Community, we also have developer.servicenow.com. The developer portal is, of course, at developer.servicenow.com. I was doing a little research last night, and it happens to look like this. You can get yourself a new, fresh, personal developer instance for free learning plans. You can see there's some learning going on down here. Go to Manage Instance, claim an instance. If you've already got one, you know that it gets reclaimed in a few days. If you don't use it, you can always get another one. So don't fear. We have backups for those now. You can restore to a brand new instance. We've got, and you don't have to do anything. This backup just sort of happens out on its own. You just do the restore if you need to. We've got the full API documentation. For example, yesterday I was looking for something on Glide Record Get Display Value. And here it is. We can go through this and get all the classes and all the methods, properties, all that good stuff. Code examples, snippets. API documentation is getting better every day. We also have on the community events, we have a share portal. Be sure if you're looking for a solution, you may find it there. That's where I posted the Jeopardy game. That's where my long-term loaner request app is. Integrations, utilities, scripts, service portal widgets, a lot of great stuff on the share portal. If you go to share portal home, I've got some published content. So it lists out my content here. But if you're looking for something, you can go to share all projects, search out and say, hey, you know what? Is there a service portal widget that does XYZ? There may be. You never know when you're going to need a service portal Jeopardy game. It's there. We also have events, lots of developer meetups coming up. If you want to get together with like-minded people who talk about ServiceNow developer goodness, it is under the events. The upcoming ones are here. If you don't see one in your area, go over to meetup.com, and we have over 16,000 people, 51 chapters in 17 countries, all over the world. And I just like to keep spinning the world like this. No, that's not what I do in my off time. But you can see we've got lots of them. Join up. Join up. And if there isn't one in your community, let us know. We'll do our best to get you started and help you organize it. You pick the content, you pick the location, and we support you through that. So very much looking forward to attending some of those later this year. Occasionally I get lucky and get to stop at some of these meetups in Q3 and Q4. Got to be careful about the seasons because spring here is not spring in Australia. So be careful the way you say that. Looking forward to that. My voice is a little rough this morning still. Let's keep going. After meetups comes, we could always talk about knowledge, I suppose. How many days till knowledge? Anybody guess? Anybody guess? If you guessed 320, that is not the right keyboard. Let's not do that. That'll mess up my video stream. 320, you would be right. It seems like a long way away, but this is the time to start planning for Knowledge 20 in Orlando, California. Orlando, Florida. Get rid of the meetups thing there. Did it get rid of the meetups thing? It did. Okay, sorry. Lots of monitors, lots of AV to check out. So Steve says, Stockholm, Sweden is sunny and warm. Oh, I would love to go. I would love to go. There's maybe an opportunity this fall. Don't know. So 320 days till knowledge. Get that in your budget. Talk to your boss. Now's the time. Plan ahead and say, I would like to allocate this much money. If you don't know how much money, send an email to knowledge@servicenow.com. We can help you figure that out. So that is knowledge. Let's get that off the screen. Let's put the community back up. And don't forget to remind you that 1 week from today, yes, it's the 18th today. So 1 week from today is our workshop. Get my head out of the way. On the email client, I was just walking through this yesterday, making some more refinements to the demo that I'm doing. Make sure you get the most value for your money. So if you want to know more about the ServiceNow email client that you see on, say, the incident form, and you want to put it on your own form, you want to customize it, you want to configure it, you want to put certain fields on there, put certain values in the fields, we can help you with that. Even help you debug why it doesn't show up sometimes for some people. Register at the bit.ly link, bit.ly/TN64Reg. Love to see you there. And again, any code that we have, get that GitHub screen up there. There we go. Any code that we write today, if there is any, I'll be putting that in the GitHub repo at the link you see there in a dated folder 2019-06-18. And if you click the link through the description on YouTube, or you click the link in the community video, you will get right to the GitHub repo directly. So try to make things as easy as possible for you. Onward and upward. A couple things that I've got that I was previewing before the show started, but I don't want to lose Shane's comment. Can you remind me where the info is on adding multiple records at once to an update set? Shane, you got to give me some clarification. Are you talking about things that are normally captured by an update set or things that are not normally captured? For example, if you're doing, let me get to my personal developer instance that I got from developer.servicenow.com. The volume feels a little low. No, it's not a little low. Okay. If you are normally doing development, let's say, I'm in global and I have an update set, system update sets, not update sources, local update sets. And I have a new update set. I haven't really talked about update sets too much on this show. I'm in the global application, so I don't need that. I need my demo update set. I'll mark that in progress, submit, and make it the current update set. And I go and make, let's say a new business rule. So under system definition, business rules, ding. Let's create a new business rule just for the fun of it. And I'll call this my new business rule. And I'm going to make that work on the, for lack of imagination, the incident table, which is right there at the top. On insert and update, I will do an action that says, hello world. Not very exciting, but it does that. Business rules by default are captured in update sets. So if I go back to my update sets, local update set, let's do sort reverse created. There's my demo update set. And I now have that one new business rule added to the customer updates. This is in a table called sys update XML. If I go to sys under update, under xml.list, and sort by reverse created, I will see there's my business rule called my new business rule. The name is sysscript and a sysid. Its update set is in here. Now, sometimes what you may find is that you forgot to turn on the right update set. You can change the reference in this field and say, you know what, these should also be in there. But be careful, because if they're in a different application, it won't work. Because each application has its own subset of update sets, if you will. K20 is in the budget. Shane says not captured like the record in a custom table. Okay, so wanted to point out that I've done this, been doing this for years. If you're careful, you can change the reference in here to my demo update set, and that's just changing the reference, so it's going to show up in that related list. Again, make sure you have. Yes, I know. If it's in a different application, I don't have application displayed here, but you could easily do that by saying, throw the application field out. Now, I would see I can't do that because it's in ITSM Mobile. It's a different scope. You can't mix updates between scopes. Those things have already been captured to that. So getting back to Shane's question, let's say I made a custom table, and I still have this update set open. Let me do the update set picker. You can do that from the cog menu in the upper right. Go to developer and say, turn on the update set picker. And there it is. I'm currently capturing my demo update set. And if I've got records in, let's say incident, list, I can go click, 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 pick a few of these. And down here on the list menu, I can say, create application file. That's like, put it in the update set. Make it part of this application. And when I do that, it says, when do you want these to be included? And you've got some choices. frankly, I've never seen much reason to say anything but new and install upgrades. And there's a little help here if you don't know when it loads. You can have it just do it on once. You can do it every time. This is how I include demo data with some of my applications. So I include that. It says 3 new application files in global. Now when I go back to sysupdate XML, I have these meta snapshot records, and it tells me which record it goes with. So those are now part of the update set. If I go to the update set, which I can get to by clicking this icon right next to the update set picker, I can see them. Yep, they are there. So create application file. You may not see that in every table. It doesn't show up in certain tables. I believe scheduled jobs is one of them, or I may be wrong on that one. Let's go to scheduled jobs and pick that one. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, create application file is not in there. This one is bizarre because if you're in a scoped app, it does get added. So don't know why this one particular table does not have update sync equals true. There's a dictionary attribute that goes with this. If you look at sysscript.list, that's the business rules. And you go to, let's open up one. Go to the dictionary, configure dictionary. The dictionary attribute that says, hey, this is a system table. I want to capture the records in an update set. It's in the table, which is a collection called sysscript. And in the attributes is update sync true. That's what says this table gets its updates. If you look at incident, you look at task, you look at a whole bunch of these data tables where you have transitory or transactional data, they do not have update sync. You don't want your demo data from dev making its way to production in an update set. That would be bad. Okay, so there are certain times when you want this, certain times you don't. I don't have any explanation for scheduled jobs. That being said, I'm finding more and more use cases for Flow Designer to run on a scheduled basis. See yesterday's video than running scheduled jobs. I have less need to do a scripted scheduled job. I know us legacy people like to go there first to go, hey, I've got something I need to run nightly. Think more about Flow Designer for that use case. You'll love yourself later for it. Okay, discussion between Steve and Shane. Doing some imports and would rather include those records in the update set instead of importing again. Yeah, if you can import, if you can export via XML or export them to the update set and make them part of the import of that, you will retain the sysids. That way they have the same sysid on both instances. If you import them, aside from import XML, but if you say, hey, I've got this spreadsheet, or I've got this JDBC, or I've got whatever, and I'm bringing users in, they will have a different sysid in both locations. Not that that's going to matter most of the time. There are some ways that I've shown you to prevent sysid differences. Don't hard code sysids. Okay, there's your first clue. If you've got a client script or a business rule and it's got a sysid, it says, if value equals this group sysid, you're going to have problems. Eventually, you're going to have problems. Okay, that's just a bad practice. Hard-coded sysids should be avoided at all costs. And I've shown you some tips to work around that via properties, using get display value, set display value. Show those again if you've got questions on that. So hopefully that's, did I cover that discussion? Good. We're making progress here. A couple things I pulled out of the community before the show that I thought were interesting and might make interesting topics as well. The first one is about using an alert on a past due date. And we do this in one of our workshops. So this person says, there are 2 fields, start date and end date. How do you give alerts to the users if they select dates in the past? Here's the script they're trying below. And they're doing a glide Ajax and sending it off to a script include. You can see this is a fair amount of script. They want to say this right when they set the value. Okay, pick the value, go to the next field and go, no, you can't do that. Okay, I don't know that you need that immediate of a response that it involves custom code like this. Custom code to be written, debugged, maintained. I have a solution that allows you to do this without scripting You just wait till it hits submit, and then you can define one or more things. So what I submitted to this discussion back on my instance is, let's go to our safety issue application, which I know has a due date on it. There's the due date field, and the due date is currently in the past. Okay. And if I change something in here, change this to an exclamation point, it's not going to worry about it. Okay. I don't know if I have this in place or not. If I change the due date and save it, it's going to say, no. You changed the due date, but it's still in the past. You can't set due dates in the past, whether it's on a new or existing record. The way that's done is a business rule. So under Configure Business Rules, I'm going to find the validate one. How many do I have? 28? I just called it validate something. Validate due date. And switch to the safety app so I can actually see the conditions in here. It's on the issue table, which is where I want to put it. There's no advanced code in here, no script, which makes it easy to write and easy to run. I'm going to run it for new records and updated records. And the condition is if the due date changes and the due date is at or before current minute. Now, if you set the due date and you go and fill out the rest of the form, the current minute may expire. Your choice. If you want to be less draconian, you can say current hour. And then they have an hour to fill out the form before they get a warning. Okay. So if it's before the current hour, I'm currently in the 0600 hour. If they set it to something at 0500, that works fine. If you can figure out what your parameters are, but you get the idea. Okay. If this condition is true, then I go over to actions and I display a message. So I check add message. Due date cannot be in the past. Please try again. As soon as you invent a TARDIS, you're welcome to fill this out, but that's not happening. Don't be snarky like I am, but sometimes I have fun when I'm doing development. And click this checkbox that says abort action. If this condition happens, it's not going to save. That's where the red message came up, said invalid update. That you can't do this. You picked a wrong date. One of the business rules is stopping all the others from running. You're not getting anywhere. Put one like that on your start date, put one like that on your end date. Easy to maintain. The downside, of course, is you have to wait until they submit it. In most cases, that's fine. The cost of doing that code development and testing and maintenance is higher than doing this for the user experience. This 99% of the time works fine. So consider doing that. Codeless business rule, very easy to do. That's my submission for that one. The other one that I got is an interesting discussion, again, around a lot of scripting. I'm not anti-script, don't get me wrong, but I think it should only be used where it needs to be. So they've got a form. I know it's a little tough to see. Let's see if I can do that as a pop-out. Where I don't even know what this form is for, but you can see they've got passenger name, route, passenger 2, route, passenger 3, route, passenger 4, route. And it goes up to about 10. Okay. A, there's a limit on this. B, it's repetitive. And they said, if they pick 5 here, I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they pick 7 here, I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this big client script that said, if it's 1, do this. If it's 2, do this and this. If it's 3, do these 3. Okay. They're just doing the set display value, set display. I forgot what it was. It's a client script that's very, very long. And I said, well, you could wrap this in a loop. You could calculate these fields and pray this one says passenger name 1 as the field name underneath. Otherwise, you've got an exception. Okay. Or you could make this more extensible, less maintenance by using an embedded list. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen embedded lists before, let's say here I've got my safety issue again, and I've also got these safety tasks. Now, currently there are no safety tasks, but when I do, I can relate a safety task to a parent record. In fact, let's do something slightly different. I said, instead of lots of fields on the same form, let's say I have a situation where I've got these safety issues and I've got multiple locations. Where did this happen? And I'm not referencing CMN location for a minute here. Okay, ignore that there's a location table out there. or maybe it's departments or whatever. Here, how many people are involved? Of course, I could use a list field for that. But let's take the use case where they've got a lot of some things. I'm going to go to Studio real quick and build up my data model with a secondary table. So it's not just the issue table. Let's create a new table and call this location. Okay, it's going to be in my scope. It's not going to extend anything, and I need some fields. Now, oddly enough, what I'm talking about is already on this form. This is an embedded list. You've seen them, you've used them. It's an easy way to add rows to a related table. So I am adding rows to the dictionary, but it's managed as part of the form. Unlike a related list where you can inject records and save them without saving the form, this is part of the form. Any changes made to the embedded list also need to be saved. You need to do a save on the form. You can't just say, okay, I entered them, they're done. So let's call one name. That'll be a string. We'll set that to the display value. And location, which will also be a string. And of course, anytime I make a new table, I like to put a true false on there to make it active. That way I can have reference qualifiers later that filter out the false values. And we're going to need a reference to the parent record. Don't forget about this. Okay, this is tied to whatever issue. Reference to the safety issue table. Okay, that's all I've got. That's all I need. Let's put that as there. And now when I go to my safety issue, I could say configure form layout. This is not available in Form Designer. Form layout allows you to scroll down here and you'll see some orange entries. Now, because this is task, it's pretty big. But if I look down here, I've got location to issue. That's the relationship I just built by making that reference field from my new location table to my issue table. I'll place that. Oh, I didn't select it. Went a little too fast. That's what happens when you try and talk and do it at the same time. So down here, location to issue, move it over there. It's going to be just below the end split, just below the call. You know, I don't need the call in there. Let's get that out. And here is my embedded list of locations. It's scalable. Sorry, saying, Chuck, I don't need that active field on there. Let's configure list layout for this, just like any other list. Say, get the active out there. I don't even see issue. It's sort of implicit, but it says, you know what? You're looking at the issue record. I'm not going to put the same value on there every time, so forget that. And now I can say this applies to Chicago, and the location is 133 Wacker Drive. This applies to Phoenix, and it is 3 West South 3rd Avenue, and so on and so forth. You've now got a nice scalable way to do this. If you need more rows, you insert more rows. If you need fewer rows, you take the rows off. Save that, of course, put your ACLs on there so the right people can add and delete, that kind of thing. And now I've got a nice way to view this. It is, in effect, a related list in the form that you can easily add to it. So no code, very extensible, no maintenance. How do you lose with that? Okay. But if you still are dead set on getting those values, plus I have an easy way to iterate over these. I go to the table, I look for ones that are related to this record, and I loop through them, and I get the values I want. If you're doing this on the form where you have a counter, you better hope the counter hasn't been changed to show the, if somebody originally put in 7 fields and then said, no, I only need 3, those values are still in the other 4 fields. So things are a little out of whack. You got to trust, you got to write even more code to keep them in sync. Seems like a tough idea. So that's that topic. Let's go find something in the community this morning. I haven't done anything here yet. Let's see if there's anything that piques my interest. Those were just a couple that I came up with before the camera started rolling. I thought I'd share that with you and go, hey, you know what? This is something I've seen. I see a pattern forming. When there's patterns, I like to express them. Is there a way to modify sysui element? Good question about scope here. I want to bring this out into its own article. So we developed a scoped application, which we published on the ServiceNow store. Thank you very much. Now we developed another application, which can be considered as a plugin or add-on to the first application. Amongst other things, it adds additional fields to some of the tables of the first application. I suspect there are two different scopes here. The fields allow integration our main application with project management of ServiceNow, which be used. We can't include the fields in the main application because of licensing reasons. For example, after installation of the plugin application, we want to modify the default form view and default list view of the first application to display the new fields. We try to write a fixed script. So they're trying to write a script like this, which goes into sysui element, which is where some of the fields and positions are located, and modify one of the records. However, it comes up and says, you can't do this because of the cross-scope policy. Now, if you own both applications, you can set the first application to accept changes from all scopes, or at least say, modify when I'm allowed to modify them, and then put in a cross-scope application permission to say, I will accept changes from application 2. That's doable. Okay. I had misread this the first time. I thought they were trying to modify something on project portfolio management. But the fact that you just rush in and say, application 1 is going to modify application 2. Okay. That means a scoped application is going to do exactly what they're supposed to. I don't want to install something from the store that goes and modifies another application unless that other application is aware of and grants permission to the second application. So that's exactly, well, one of the main reasons why scoped applications came out is to protect applications from modifying data that they shouldn't. So it's doing exactly what it should. And I think they just need to get to the point where you say, I'm going to accept these changes. I'm going to enforce these changes at the application level, which is done. Let's see if I can find it. So if you go under sysapp.list and say, here is my safety application, I can set my runtime access to tracking, which you typically want in dev so that it captures those new cross-scope privileges that you will enable. But in production, this would be enforcing to say, don't just willy-nilly allow somebody and then tell me, hey, I allowed them to write to your table. Okay. Set that to enforcing on your sys app record. Then in your table, if I were to say, let's see, I think I still have Studio up here. In my table, I have application access and say, other applications, all scopes can create, update, maybe he just wants create or just update, and say, I'm going to allow you to do that. And if I set that to tracking, it's going to allow you and create this entry in application cross-scope access. This is where these are tracked. It says performance analytics is allowed to run this script include, or this table is allowed, this application is allowed to inject into this table. This is where the cross-scope applications are tracked. Once you've captured those, set your application to enforcing, and now new applications can't do that. They have to be in this table. So yes, it's possible, but you have to set up your first application to allow that permission from the second application. So sorry for the misunderstanding earlier. That's what we got right now. I'm going to, let's see if I'm going to leave that up there so you don't have to watch me type that one in. So that is that one in the inbox. When a user goes to approve the request via approval email, the Outlook screen is open instead. What caused that and how can I resolve? Let's see if there's a picture. When a user goes to approve a request via the approval email, the Outlook screen is open. Yes, that is because it's using a mail to reference. That's how email approval works. Basically, it looks at the subject line at the Outlook. Thank you, Mike. The link in the email contains a mail to reference link, which opens your email client. Let's do mail to as opposed to the common hyperlink href, ahref, http, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is a href equals mail to, blah, 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 blah. Hopefully that HTML will render fine. Let's see what happens. Next question is going to be, how do I change that? I know it's coming. It's every time. It's like, how do I make that a link so they can just click one link and approve? Oh, that gets scary when you start talking about security. API now, CXS search API not working on knowledge base. Let's find out what this is. I like APIs. Hello, I'm trying to get the API now CXS search API to work. I have set up a service account that only has the role SNC internal. I'm trying to run a query against a knowledge base that has no read user criteria against it. As I understand, this means public, basically. When I run the search, I get 0 results. However, if I run it with my user credentials, it works fine. Does anyone know any roles that need any configuration? Need to do this to get it working for my service account user. Let's take a look at this. API now CXS search. So if I go to my instance, get the REST API Explorer, which is handy, and I look for, is it contextual search? Yes, I guessed right. CXS search. I'm going to assume they're doing a get. Okay. And I have a start value, end value, add query parameter. I haven't looked at this before, so it doesn't have any URL parameters. Let's just say, give me an example of how you're using it. I honestly don't know. Let's do mail. I have no idea if Q equal mail is going to get me anything. And it says, oh, got something. Results returned 6. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so it is working, and obviously I'm logged in as admin. And if I want to pull this out into a curl, if I remember right, when you have credentials, let's take a look at what the documentation says for this. It may actually tell us. docs.servicenow.com is where you'll find a load full of good documentation. Tables installed with contextual search. Installed with contextual search. Seeing if I can find the CXS search API. Table API. Nope. Not table API. Tables installed with contextual search. Where is my REST API? How about if we search for search REST API? REST API, scripted REST APIs, API security, version, roles, scripted, create, scripted. That's not entirely helpful. Maybe we can find it under here. Getting started, inbound examples, security, supported, dot walking, debugging, returning a session. Let's look under security. I thought we needed to allow access to tables without authentication or authorization, add the table name to public pages. That's not going to work for this because it's not a table API. Okay, REST API roles. Did we try? I haven't seen this one. Controls the ability to access the following services, a corresponding REST API ACL. Table aggregate import attachment. Let's also take a look at the ACL is available, the roles. So under user administration roles, I'm going to look this up and say, what contains API? API Explorer, API Analytics, Email, API Query, No Domain, Service API Admin, SNC Platform REST API Access. Allows access to perform REST APIs. Just out of curiosity, what happens if we go back and get that curl command? Sadly, I think I lost that. I should have opened up the REST API Explorer in a new window. Probably doesn't remember all my stuff. Nope. So let's get contextual search back here. I said I did it before. Why don't I do it this time? Command click, open in a new tab so I don't lose it this time. Now, contextual search. Contextual search. Search get. Query parameter. Q, mail, and send. Now, I'm going to get a curl command and try this without any credentials. Let's go to a terminal window. Hopefully this will be big enough to see. If not, I will blow it up for you. There we go, nice and big. And it says, user not authenticated, required to provide auth status. Did I get an error code in there? I don't see a 403 or anything. It doesn't return me one. So given that, let's supply some credentials. I'm trying to remember what I had. Let's give any particular user that has no credentials already, like I think Aileen has no roles or, oh man, I always get these. We'll try Aileen. We'll give her a password. Let's give her another password. Okay. We don't want to say web service access only. So go back to this. Give it a rest. And what was it? It was dash dash user. Yep. Dash dash user login password. So this is Aileen. Oops. Try that. Aileen Mortrim? Can't remember. Mortem? Postmortem? What was her name? Moturn. Yeah. Try that again. Change word. Just get rid of these people. Goodbye, characters. Insert that. Password. Is her password. Let's see what happens. Shall temp R. User not authenticated. Required to provide auth. Dash user command not found. Really? Oh, because I took out my last backslash. Shall temp R. I got stuff. I didn't have to give her any roles. Okay, so what's the deal? It wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. Oops, I closed the one that I wanted to keep open. There it is. Odd. I just ran this from a curl command and got a heck of a response. Let's do a little security in here. So if I put this in, I never looked even further down the list to see what my options are. Fine, we'll just do this. Your password, your account, and your instance. Ding. I just ran this from a shell prompt and didn't have to give the account any roles to make it work. Curl makes a good test. Can you get that far to eliminate any additional variables from the other source trying to make the REST request? Let us know. Yeah, before I start most integrations, I want to make sure that what I want to try, I build up very slowly. Whether it's Postman trying against a third-party integration or curl or whatever, I want to see, before I even get started on ServiceNow, does this thing work with something not ServiceNow? Okay, just to make sure that we don't get into this finger pointing like, oh, ServiceNow does this different. If I can tell the vendor or the application, look, this works. I use these headers. I use this authentication. I use this endpoint. It's going to work. Okay. Now, where are we mismatched? Or if it doesn't work, where are we mismatched? Had to do a bit of that at Knowledge for a REST API to our badge reader situation. So that was fun. And they were very good about resolving that. So, forgot to ring the bell. Let's move on. Refresh. And we'll do an unreplied. Nothing in the inbox at the moment. Verizon e-bonding, need a page where I can view incidents separately. Intriguing. Let's find out what this is about. Hello all. I have created a table called Incident Table for Users, an extended task. What I want is a list of incident and its red marked field in it, as shown in the figure. I want to display the 3 records in the newly created form. Can you please suggest how to do this customization? What I want is a list of incidents and its red marked field in it. Sounds like you may just want to view. Sounds like you could do this with a view on the standard incident form. Incident form. You don't need to make a new table to get a different view of the records. Start by going to Form Designer. Here, go to a form. Configure form design, create a new view. Time for screenshot. Okay. So in my view, I've got incident.do, brings me to the form. Configure form design, and default view. I've got several views up here, but I can create a new view. So give them a screenshot of that to try and be helpful. Name the view. My view, poorly named. And do your form layout on that view. Example, I wanted just a few fields, if I remember right. It was number, assignment group, and assigned to. Okay. Seems a little sparse, but okay. So on the form designer, let's call this new view my view. Drag and drop the incidents number. This will be fast. Where is number on incident? Fine, we'll do it this way. You want to play that. I am on the incident table. Where is my number field? Interesting. I am going to Look at this. Go back to default view. There's number. Oh, you know what? I'm in the wrong scope. That's a problem. Yeah, let's make sure that we're in global when we do that. Should have seen that coming. I think they are out for a report or a view. Yeah, well, it said they wanted this on the form, if I read that right. It said a list of incident and its red marked fields in it as shown in the figure. Okay, so you could do this as a, yeah. I think you do this with a view for the standard incident form or list. Or list. Okay, for the form, start by going here, configure a new view. Oh, get that out of the way. So I'm in global, configure, form design. Views allow you to establish other views to that same information. So let's do that again. We're back to new, my view. Okay. Normally it duplicates all the information over here. So I have my view, get rid of what we don't need. Something like that. Get rid of these sections. Have fun with that. Okay, configure to taste and save. Season to taste. That's what the recipes always say. Back to here. And save. For the list, just use configure list layout or list layout. From the list, you can do where my list of incidents go. Incident.list. Configure list layout. Stay with me. Stay with me. Wrong screen. It's tab 2 and 5. Okay, all these pictures are going to be nicely formatted when they come back in. 2 and 5. So go back to configure. It's very difficult when the font is this large. List layout and give a new view. Oh, I skipped ahead. I should have taken a picture of that. List view new. Click. Put it back on tab 2. Create a new view and configure and save. So if I want that one to run to completion, I can say new, my view, saves that, get rid of everything I don't want, put in the ones they do want, save that, and then choose the view. I gotta quit doing that. Tab 5 shows my new view with just those 3 fields. Easy enough. Another way would be a report, like you said. Good thing I'm almost done with this. Another way would be another way to do the list would be a simple report. Very easy to do. Thank you, Steve. And Steve, I think were you on that one? Yep. Steve was the main contributor to that one. There we go. Thank you, thank you. I get a bell for that. There was something else that I was trying to think of just a minute ago while I was doing that, and I can't remember what it was. Updating request opened by field does not update the request item opened by field, nor should it. These are 2 different records. We imported some data into ServiceNow, created request and request item records. The open by field was set to whatever the system set it to, and we wanted to update it to something else. We updated the open by field on the request, but it's not updating the RITM open by field. Aren't they the exact same field? No, requested for is the same field. I'm able to manually update RITM open by just fine, but not sure why when we update it on the request it's not updated. These are two different fields. Let's validate that through the data model first. So we go to screquest.list, and it has requested for an open by, and we go to screquitem.list, and it has requested for an open by. Now this requested for, don't be fooled. Okay, if I go to configure list layout, let's find out. This is requested for, this is request open by. However, oops, I should have checked right there. Configure list layout. Does this have its own opened by? Yes, it does. So there's the request item open by. There are two different ones. So little research paid off there. There are two different opened by fields, one on each table. By default, the list layout for RITM shows the value from the request opened by. However, screquitem has its own opened by field. Be sure you are using the right one in the right place. From the list, here, if you choose configure list layout, you'll see request.openedby, which says this belongs to the parent record. If you look on the left, there's another opened by field. Do a screenshot of what I was just looking at. Ding. Ding. Not only how did we get the answer, but how did we get the answer? Not only the answer, but how we got the answer. Okay, let's look at it from the form. I want to drill into one of those request items. So tab 5. Don't know what I just closed. It was probably somebody's discussion. And opened by here, show opened by. If you do that on the form, seems a little backwards, doesn't it? From the form, right-click on the field, label, and choose show opened by. Actually, I think it just says show opened by. Show opened by. Bye. Bye. You will see the details. Okay, which say, stop doing that. It's the dictionary item for screquitem open by. So the list is showing one, the form is showing the other. It says the field on the form is coming from screquitem. Is coming from screquitem. So the list shows screquest.openby, and the form shows screquitem. Little more scroll there for you. .openby. I didn't know that. Not very nice, but now you know. And so do I. Journey of discovery. There we go. We learned something today. I did anyway. And oh, look at the time. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining. Don't forget, if you like something in the video, click the like. If you're watching on the community, click the helpful. Appreciate it very much. It lets other people know that there's something useful out there. And I got lucky trying to wear a green shirt and a green bow tie against a green screen. I didn't disappear. But I have to disappear for today. And I look forward to seeing you next time on the community live stream. Until then, learn something, share something, be helpful, and I'll talk to you again real soon.